Hi. Thank you for attending today's reading. Let's begin. I got my girlfriend 30 barbecue sauces so my girlfriend and I. She's 16. I am 17. Have dates at the park once a week. Last week I brought her favorite Dutch Bros drink and she really appreciated it. Today was our date. I went to Dutch Bros and got her favorite drink. I then went to KFC, McDonald's, and Burger King to get 10 barbecue sauce packets from each place. When I showed up to our favorite table, I put down the drink. You got this drink for me?" she asked. "No. This is my drink. But I did get you this," I said, handing her the brown bag. She laughed hard as she saw the 30 barbecue sauces. We stacked them and built pyramids. I ended up taking them home. They are in my fridge right now and I don't have the slightest idea if I will ever even use them. They were basically free. McDonald's charged $1. Everywhere else was free. I ended up giving her the drink because I'm not that mean. End of story. Next story. Saw a kid get stabbed when I was in 6th grade. One time when I was in 6th grade we had a substitute for the day and we were doing some sort of English assignment. I think it was silent reading or something. I remember being on the far right side of the room when I heard a huge commotion in the far left side of the room. Turns out this one kid C was annoying this one kid Z by calling him gay. F********T, etc. Bullying him as a middle school child in a redneck area does. I guess Z had just had enough of it. Took his pen off the holder part of his desk and just plunged it into C's neck. It was a total shit show afterwards. The substitute rushing to call 911 and stuff. Kids freaking out since we just saw one of our classmates get stabbed. The cops showed up pretty quick. Z got suspended for like 3 or 4 days. I don't really remember how long. But I remember he was back in class really soon. The substitute that we had that day wasn't allowed to come back to the school to teach anymore. After the incident, I think every student in that class got a little scarred that day. I know it's definitely an event I couldn't forget even if I wanted to. On a side note, Z was honestly a really strange, but nice kid. He was the type to eat erasers and call himself by really weird names and came up with all these wild stories about his real identity. One time someone brought in a pill bug for our science class and he asked to see it and just straight up ate it. C was always one of the jerk kids and one of the people who bullied me relentlessly. He stopped messing with Z and a lot of other people after the incident, so I guess he learned his lesson about name calling and bullying. End of story. Next story. How I ended up with 3 girlfriends. I am 25 and I have 3 girlfriends at the same time. It isn't exactly an open relationship and I am not a pimp. Let me explain. When I was 17, I went to a film program at a trade school in the next town over. At my old school no one seemed to like me, so at this new school I kinda kept to myself. It was difficult for me to socialize, but when I finally assimilated, I met this group of 3 girls. One of them was my age and the other 2 were a year younger. They were all very pretty. We all had the same interests. Video games, anime, memes, etc. I'll call them Sai, Alex, and Abby. We became close friends within the month. They are all really short. Under 5 feet 4. At one point I started to get feelings for them. The problem was I didn't know which one I wanted to date. Word got around that all 3 of them liked me too. I was flattered as heck but very confused. Eventually we opened up about our feelings and there was some tension. One day Sai decided to tell me the truth. All three of them were already dating in a LGBTQ relationship until I came along. They kept dating each other and fighting each other over who would be with who in middle and high school, so all three of them decided to be in a three-way relationship. And when I came along, all three of them wanted me. And I wanted all three of them. After talking it out for some time, Alex came up with the idea of having all four of us in the same relationship. I thought that was weird as heck and was very confused at first. The first month of this was awkward. At school we would all hold hands together and date as a group. They would usually come over one at a time. Sometimes two at a time. And once a week we would all go to one of our houses and have a sleepover. It started to become less awkward, and cuddling with them all and loving them all was so fun. A few more months passed and people, including my parents, started to notice I was popular with these ladies. I told everyone they were all friends. They believed me because I am bisexual and as an LGBTQ person myself. Let me say this. The stereotype of LGBTQ guys being popular among girls is true. I know gay guys who are surrounded in women. All their contacts and friends are female. I don't know what draws the women to us gay, pan, bi, and trans dudes. But I love it. I was wondering if this three-way stuff was going to die down somewhere down the line, but months passed. And it never did. I thought two of them would eventually leave for other guys because maintaining this four-way stuff was difficult. But they stayed. And I stayed. I didn't have a reason to go. And then a year passed. At one point I made some burner account on this site to ask on advice subs about maintaining this. A bunch of people were saying that if it was working, then I should keep it going because I sounded like a lucky man. I did have sexual relations with these women, even all at the same time. But I don't need to go into detail on that. You can probably understand how pleasurable and hot it was. What was more important was having three people who actually cared enough to stay in this weird relationship model. Three people to cuddle with and care for and spoil. Three people who loved me. My girlies. Birthdays, Valentines, and Christmas were all very fun. But as these months and years started to pass, I graduated from trade school. I had a good enough job at the time to afford rent in an apartment. My parents were still giving me some money for groceries. I think I was 18 or 19 at this time. And Abby was 18. Abby's parents are very abusive. Physically, not sexually. She would often end up going to one of the other girls' houses after being hit, bruised, slammed, etc. But if it was too late to go to their house, she would walk around town and stay up until the sun rose. One night she had to call the cops on her mom again and she fled to my apartment. She would cry at my door and I would cradle her in my arms. Hug it out, cuddle with her, and tell her it was gonna be alright. She did this frequently until one day she got in such a huge fight with her parents that she left. She begged to just live at my place. I let her stay there. We would sleep in the same bed most nights and we did plenty of bonding. She was always the most quiet one, so opening up to each other was very interesting. Though the groceries supplied by my parents were not enough to feed both of us, so I had to ask her to get a job. She got one within the month. Cy and Alex got a little jealous and wanted to move in too. Eventually all four of us had jobs and were living in this crappy apartment. We decided to move into a house instead. I was 20 at this time and they were 20, 19, and 19. Now we are 25, 24, and 24, living in the same nice house. We all have gotten better paying jobs and work different shifts. Our families just think we are all friends and roommates. We are thinking about getting married and having children soon. The problem is all three of them said they want to have my children. How the heck would that work out if the children had three mothers? I feel awkward about that. Maybe having children isn't the best idea. The marriage is easy. I can be seen marrying one of them. Probably Sai, since her parents keep putting pressure on her to get married, whereas Alex is out as bi and Abby does not keep contact with her family. And the other two can have a lesbian marriage. But yeah, we live like this. There is still a lot more to figure out and more struggles. I literally cannot fricking believe that it has lasted this long already. Like wow. If you have any questions, feel free to ask away. They gave me permission to say this as long as I don't use their real names or pictures or locations or any other real info about them. Aside from ages. End of story. That is all for today. If you want to support my automated channel, feel free to drop a like and subscribe. See you tomorrow.